Hey everyone, Varric here. So this video is going to be on Heroic Iron Quan. Now this fight is actually rather different on Heroic from normal. The strat especially changes quite a bit. There are still some similarities. You're still going to be dealing with certain abilities from normal to Heroic. However, some of the abilities that change in this particular fight does change the strat quite a bit. Although I still recommend this being probably your third Heroic boss that you attempt. If you are struggling with this maybe a little bit, you could try Heroic Hordon. However, I still find Heroic Iron Quan slightly easier than Hordon, but that will depend on your raid. Now, as to the fight, you're still going to be dealing with 3 Quillen and then Iron Quan. You're still going to be killing him in the same order: Rorschach, Quetzal, Damrin. For the most part, they still cast the same abilities. However, you're still going to have some added mechanics during each of the phases, and then the final phase becomes a lot more crazy, and I'll get to that in a minute. But we'll go ahead and start with Phase 1. Now, Phase 1 is still dealing with Rorschach, the Flame Quillen. You're still going to have to watch out for the flame lines. You're still going to target throw his spear out randomly. You're still going to break up into 3 groups to make sure you're soaking for Unleash Flame, because you don't want him casting Molten Overload. The biggest difference now is, and this is prevalent through each of the other phases, along with dealing with whichever Quillen that the Iron Quan is riding at the time, you're going to have to be dealing with additional Quillens flying around. In this phase, for Phase 1, that's going to be Quetzal. And he's going to cast 2 abilities during this phase on top of having to deal with Rorschach's abilities. The first one is he'll spit out like a giant tornado. It's kind of hard to miss. Especially if you're ranged, you have a good chance of dodging this. If you do get hit by it, all it really does is knock you back a little bit. And it will do, I believe it's a couple 100k damage. It's not life-ending as long as you're not really low on HP. But it is pretty avoidable, so just try to watch out for it. The second one, and the most annoying one you're going to have to deal with, especially during this phase, is you're going to have to be dealing with Quetzal's Arcing Lightning. Now this behaves the same exact way on normal. He will target a random raid member with this, and if they become targeted, they will become stunned. And of course, if they have this on, they can't get healed, and they can't move. So it becomes imperative that who's ever closest by needs to click them so they can get out of it. Otherwise, they're going to die very quickly. Other than that, you still want to stay spread out. Just close enough to each somebody you can run over and click them if they get Arcing Lightning on them. Now, another big difference on Heroic from normal is you don't actually kill any of the Quillen during the first 3 phases. What happens is you get them down to 25%. Once they get to 25%, the next phase will start. So in this case, once Rorschach hits 25%, Iron Quan will dismount. You have a few seconds to DPS Iron Quan if you want, throw up a couple dots, because again, that damage will carry over into the final phase. Now phase 2 will start once Iron Quan mounts Quetzal. Now again, you're going to still be dealing with Quetzal's Arcing Lightning. You're still going to be dealing with the random lightning lines on the ground from his spear. So try not to cross those unless it's absolutely necessary. Of course, if you do, disengage or deterrence over so you don't take any extra damage from that. Now during phase 2, the other Quillen you're going to have to be dealing with during this phase is Damrin. Now Damrin's really only going to do one thing, and it's called Frostspike. All this really does is it'll target a few random raid members. And if you're targeted by this, it'll have like a little blue graphic underneath you. After a couple seconds, if you haven't moved, this blue spike will come out of the ground, and if you're standing close enough, it'll just knock you in the air and do a little bit of damage. It's not a lot. However, it's pretty obvious when it's on you, so just move 3 or 4 yards away and you won't take any damage. It'll just become negligible during this phase. So it's definitely avoidable. Just try to pay attention where you're standing. Now, just like on normal phase 2, Heroic's phase 2 is Quetzal still going to cast Windstorm once phase 2 starts a little bit in. And again, this behaves the same exact way. You're going to suck you into the middle. And you're either going to have to run all the way out, or if you're fortunate enough to have a Warlock or 2 in your raid, you can just teleport to the outside of the Windstorm. Again, if you don't have a teleport or it's already being taken up by other players, either cast deterrence and then disengage out to help you get out as fast as you can, because the damage in here is obviously ramped up because it's on Heroic. So just get out as quickly as you can, and then as soon as you get outside, you can start DPSing Quetzal while he's still in the air. Once he lands, again, it's the same thing. Just keep attacking him. Make sure you click on anybody that gets Arcing Lightning. Stay away from the lines. Of course, depending on your raid DPS, you may have to deal with another Windstorm. If not, once Quetzal gets down to 25% HP. He will dismount. Again, throw some DPS on Iron Quan until he mounts Dam Rin. Now, once he's on Dam Rin does the same exact thing. Really, just his dead zone shields. If you can get in good position, if he throws one up near on your side, if you can run around and attack, go for it. But don't kill yourself running over a bunch of the ice lines on the ground or taking any additional damage if you can't get there. It's only 10 seconds. If you have to, just wait till the shield falls and then start attacking again. Now, during this phase, the additional Quillen you're going to be dealing with is Rorschach. And he's going to be casting his Unleash Flame ability. So it's important to have a group stack up to soak this Unleash Flame. For us, it's our melee group and the tanks that will stack up for this. So we don't want the range to really group up like they did in Phase 1. There's just some other stuff going on as far as all the ice and stuff. And it's not really necessary for any other group probably than one group to soak the damage. As it shouldn't take too long to get Dam Rin down. Now, before you push Dam Rin to 25% HP, it's important that you set this up. The reason I say this is, once Dam Rin hits 25% HP, Phase 4 immediately starts. And this is where things get super crazy. And you want to be ready for this when it happens. And you want to make sure that everybody's ready and make sure everybody has their cooldowns. The way you want to set this up is, of course, Dam Rin's going to cast his shield, intermittently during the fight. Once Dam Rin starts getting closer to 25%, you want to back off DPS a little bit until he casts that shield one more time. Once that shield falls and he's 25 or 26%, you want to blow Heroism or Bloodlust and all your cooldowns, pots, whatever you got, and you want to blow Dam Rin up as fast as possible. Because, as I said, the second he gets pushed to 25%, Phase 4 starts. And this is where Heroic mode differs a lot from normal. What happens is, once Dam Rin hits 25% HP, Iron Quan will dismount. The other two Quillen that were flying around will land, and now you're going to have to deal with all 4 mobs at the same time. And like I said, things get really crazy. Again, you're going to start dealing with all of the Arc and Lightning, you're going to deal with Unleash Flame, and you're going to deal with the Dead Zone from Dam Rin until he dies. It shouldn't take too long once you get Dam Rin under 25% if you're blowing all your cooldowns. Once he's down, then you want to immediately move to Rorschach, as you want to get rid of Unleash Flame as fast as possible. Now, once Rorschach is dead, things start to get a slightly bit easier. Of course, you're not dealing with 4, you're only dealing with 2. The biggest issue with Quetzal, once he dies, it's very, very important that everybody make sure they do not have that Arc and Lightning debuff on them when they move in. Because just like on normal, once the last Quillen dies, you're all going to want to stack up on Iron Quan to get AoE healing, because he will be using his Smashing Fist ability just like on normal, except it does a lot more damage. And you cannot run into the raid with this Arc and Lightning, as it will just spread to everybody. And then you're going to be dealing with the Arc and Lightning damage plus the Smashing Fist, which you won't probably survive as the fight drags on. So if you have the Arc and Lightning debuff, once Quetzal is dead, just stay out of the group until that debuff leaves you, and then you can run in. If he starts casting Smashing Fist and you're not in the group, and you start taking a lot of damage and it looks like you're not going to get healed, pop Deterrence. It's still completely negate the damage. It'll give your healers a couple seconds to give you a heal or two before it finishes. Once everybody has gotten rid of the Arc and Lightning debuff, everybody needs to stack up right on top of Iron Quan, and then just proceed as on normal. You just want to blow him up as fast as possible. Now, the difficulty is ramped up a little bit for this because, as I said, you've already blown all your cooldowns at the beginning of this phase. So you're not going to have that to push him over or to kill him any quicker. And this, again, just like on normal, is going to become a race against time. Your DPS versus his Smashing Fist damage. If your raid doesn't quite have the DPS, he may end up just wiping the raid before you get a chance to kill him. So again, this kind of does become a DPS check. As long as your healers can keep up, and again, you can kind of help with that if it looks like you're not going to get a heal or might die. Just pop Deterrence, soak some of that fast Smashing Fist damage, and let them heal somebody else that can use it. But once usually you've gotten to this part of the fight, if everybody's in good shape, you should get a kill, as long as your DPS is within a certain amount. But that's the fight right there. again, as a small review, phase 1, you're still going to be dealing with all the Rorschach's abilities. Just make sure you don't run over the flame lines. You spread into 3 groups to soak Unleash Flame. And anybody that gets the Arcing Lightning debuff, make sure you click on them as quickly as possible. Phase 2, again, just kind of stay spread out. When he sucks you in with Windstorm, try to get out as quickly as possible. Just damage him down. Again, stay spread out. Again, watch out for anybody getting Arcing Lightning. Make sure you click those as quickly as possible. And phase 3, just make sure you have 1 group stacked up for Unleash Flame with Rorschach flying around. And again, just be very aware of what HP Dameron's going to be at before you push him over to 25%. So your all your cooldowns and your Heroism Bloodlust up, and you can blow him up as quickly as possible. And then move to Rorschach, and then Quetzal, and then move to Iron Quan. And again, make sure you have that debuff gone before anybody starts to stack up. Otherwise, it's just going to spread the whole raid, and it's going to end up being a wipe with the Smashing Fist damage. But that's it. Hopefully, I explained that well enough, and hopefully this video overall was helpful to you. If you have any questions, or if I left something out, feel free to leave them in the comments down below, and I'll be happy to answer them. But as always, I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you later.